Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Officer Carlito, and you read the title. Today we will cover some of the world's most hotly debated and divisive border disputes. Let's get started. Our first border dispute is Kashmir. This dispute can be traced not too long ago, and it's the Brits' fault. Because what isn't the Brits' fault? They're responsible for this because of the way that they split up India in 1947. The British sought to split up India between religious lines, establishing the majority Hindu and the majority Muslim parts of the subcontinent. However, the states of Jammu and Kashmir had a majority Muslim population, but were ruled by Hindus. The ruler chose India as its country, leading to the deployment of Indian troops, which started the First Indo-Pakistani War. After the war, the United Nations proposed a vote in the region to decide which country they would join. This vote was never held, because apparently they have more important stuff to worry about than two nuclear powers going to war. Anyway, despite international efforts and periodic attempts at dialogue between the two countries, a lasting resolution to the Kashmir conflict remains impossible, making it a source of tension in South Asia. Our second border dispute is Crimea, between Russia and Ukraine. This basically boils down to historical and ethnic borders. The entirety of Ukraine was under the control of Russia during the Russian Empire. However, after the February Revolution, the Soviet Union was established. Yeah, you see the name? Union. It was the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. And while this didn't grant the republics independence by any means, it meant that at least Ukraine had some autonomy. Skipping forward to the 90s, and the USSR was struggling. It breaks apart, and all former Union states inherit the lands that they administered, which is important since Ukraine administered Crimea. However, because of the predominantly ethnic Russian population in Crimea, in 2014, Russia annexed Crimea, leading to widespread condemnation from the international community as it violated Ukraine's territorial integrity. Russia argued that the move was a response to the will of the Ukrainian people, expressed through a controversial referendum. The international community, including the United Nations, did not recognize the legitimacy of the annexation. The South China Sea is our next dispute. China is that one annoying kid that refuses to share its toys with the other kids, and this is another example of that. China has asserted expansive claims over the majority of the South China Sea, demarcated by the controversial 9-dash line. This claim overlaps with the maritime territories of neighboring countries. The South China Sea holds significant geopolitical importance due to its strategic location and abundant natural resources. It is a major maritime trade route, facilitating the passage of a significant portion of the world's trade. Other countries like Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan contest China's assertions and have their own territorial claims. Our next is the Kuril Islands, involving Japan and Russia. The Kuril Islands were occupied by the Soviet Union because of the agreement in the Yalta Conference, where all major powers went to agree on the post-war world. The Kuril Islands are known for their rich fisheries. Also, the surrounding waters may contain oil and gas reserves, adding to their strategic significance. Japan claims historical rights to the four southernmost islands of the chain, known as the Northern Territories in Japan and the Southern Kurils in Russia. Both of the nations have engaged in diplomatic discussions over the years, seeking a resolution that would satisfy the interest of both parties. Finding a mutually acceptable solution has proven downright unfeasible. Oh boy. The Israeli-Palestinian border dispute is a hotly debated one, and, as you guys know, it is always the Brits' fault. After World War I, the British signed the Balfour Declaration of 1917, which gave British support to a, quote, national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. The Arab rejection of the partition plan, which proposed the creation of a separate Jewish and Arab states, led to the Arab-Israeli War of 1948. This war resulted in significant territorial changes and the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. Subsequent conflicts have further shaped the geopolitical landscape, leaving Israel in control of certain territories. The ongoing dispute about borders, refugees, and the status of Jerusalem continues to fuel the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, making it one of the most enduring and challenging conflicts of the 21st century. The Korean Peninsula is the next dispute. The division of the peninsula can be traced back to the end of World War II, when the Korean Peninsula was liberated from Japanese occupation. The Korean War further solidified the division with the establishment of the demilitarized zone along 38th parallel as an armistice line. The Korean Armistice Agreement in 1953 brought an end to the active fighting, but did not lead to a formal peace treaty, leaving the Korean Peninsula technically still in a state of war. The challenge lies in finding a comprehensive and lasting resolution that addresses not only the physical demarcation of the DMZ, but also the broader issues of political differences, security concerns, and the quest for sustainable peace on the peninsula. The Western Sahara dispute revolves around the competing territorial claims and the quest of self-determination in the region. The indigenous Sahrawi people sought independence and the establishment of their own country. However, Morocco claimed sovereignty over the territory. This sparked marked a prolonged conflict, marked by armed confrontations and efforts to resolve the dispute through international mediation. The Somaliland dispute centers on the self-declared Republic of Somaliland's quest for international recognition. In Somalia, a military regime got overthrown in 1991 after Somaliland declared its independence from the rest of the country. Despite achieving relative stability and establishing democratic institutions, Somaliland has struggled to gain international recognition. The United Nations has largely maintained a policy of non-recognition, considering Somaliland to be a part of the territory of Somalia. The Taiwan dispute is a long-standing and complex issue, rooted in the Chinese Civil War. The Chinese Civil War, fought between the nationalist forces and the communist forces led by the Chinese Communist Party, concluded in 1949 with the retreat of the nationalists to the island of Taiwan. The People's Republic of China was established on the mainland, while the Republic of China continued to exist on Taiwan. Both sides have maintained separate governments, each claiming to represent the entirety of China. The international community's approach to the Taiwan issue is guided by the One China policy, with many countries officially recognizing the PRC and acknowledging its claim over Taiwan. Taiwan's robust economy, democratic governance, and distinct identity contribute to its desire for international space and recognition. The Venezuela-Guyana border dispute centers around the territorial sovereignty of the Essequibo region, an area of significant natural resources located in the southeastern part of Venezuela and claimed by both countries. The origins of this dispute date back to the 19th century, when British and Dutch colonial powers signed agreements defining the borders of British Guiana, particularly the 1899 Arbitral Award that marked the border with British Guiana, arguing that it was unfair and resulted in the loss of significant territory, including the Essequibo region. In recent years, the controversy has gained renewed attention due to oil discoveries in the disputed waters off the coast of Guyana. The discovery of significant offshore oil deposits has further heightened the stakes, with Venezuela claiming maritime rights over the disputed area. The outcome of the dispute will have lasting implications for the geopolitical landscape of South America. If you want to leave more ideas for videos in the comments, feel free to do so. Subscribe.